my friends, to a podcast that's been described as
emotional
and
terrifying.
One guy even said it was
So awesome it will shock you to the core.
And finally, another podcast about Godzilla and all his giant monster friends.
This could be the end of civilization.
Yeah, probably. So join your hosts, KES and Slick.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You're listening to the podcast. From Odo Island. Welcome to the podcast from Odo Island. Follow us on the internet at Odo Island Pod. I'm KES, and with me as always is a man who has 99 ways to slick. Slick, how you doing?
I had 99 ways, but today I found out the 100th way to slick, and that is with friends. Do you like that? Made that up on the spot in response to that. I never have a response to these nicknames, and I just riffed that right there.
You're quick today. I like it.
Well, the claws are flowing. So
Quick
why
slick.
why am I welcome to our 100th episode. And why did I say I was slicking with friends? Because we have a lot of friends joining us today. And I guess we'll go around and introduce them. And I think as we introduce you, if you got something to plug it as, plug your Twitter, plug your MySpace, whatever the fuck. Because as I always say, the only things that go at the end of podcasts are dirty secrets. So we're going to get all the plugs up front. So we will start with returning friend of the pod, Sir Melee. How are you?
Oh, I got top billing. Look at that. Love to see it. I make only Battle Line related content, and you just can type in Sir Melee into YouTube and Twitter, and you'll find me. And you got a question about Godzilla Battle Line? I definitely have an answer. That's all I got for you.
Why don't I get good egg
Well,
stuff?
that was... Yeah.
I can't help you with that. You gotta, blow into the charging port of your phone, like shake it a few times.
That's what I'm not doing.
Turn it upside down.
And also making his grand return to the podcast, YouTuber, figure reviewer, extraordinaire, fine, handsome Italian man, Shin Robjira. How are you, Rob?
I'm a little taken back by the Italian handsome man. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. good to be back. I'm Rob, and I talk about a little bit of everything on YouTube, mostly in toy format: dinosaurs, kaiju, tokusatsu, whole 9 yards. Just search Shin Robjira, and I'm sure you'll find me. Or a weird compilation of me saying weird things. Please don't look that up. And yeah, hi.
Well, shit, Rob, that was wonderful. Great to have you back. But then we also have a new voice on the podcast, but old friend of the podcast. New voice, but old friend. Mothra fan extraordinaire. Nicki is joining us for this podcast. Nicki, how are you? And thank you for joining us.
Yes, I am doing good. I don't have anything to plug because I don't do anything. If you see me on Godzilla Battle Line as Mothra Mystic, say hi. Or follow my Twitter, Mothra Mystic. I tweet about tokusatsu and pop culture, music, movies, all that. And spicy stuff sometimes. So it's on private, but you can still follow. I'll accept you. Go.
There's gonna be like a password that you say in this podcast that like lets them know that like they heard you on the podcast, and that's how they can slip past the security.
Yes, that's it. That's it. We're gonna come up with the password. It's gonna come naturally. We'll find it as we talk about the topic.
It's Totopoulos. Spoiler. Just kidding.
That's it. That's
Good luck
it.
spelling it.
So, Cass, what brings us here today?
Well, it's a fine thing today that we're going to be discussing. It was the first Godzilla movie that you and I saw in theaters together when we were just learning to become men. We were 14 years of age, went to the theater in May of 1998, and we saw Godzilla, the TriStar Productions extraordinaire. But before we get into that, before we delve in, get any news you want to lay on me? Anything new happen?
new things did happen because, of course, right after we recorded our last episode, what did we get? We got a trailer for the Skull Island anime. And so, spoilers to all the guests. I didn't say I was going to bring this up ahead of time. So, what were your reactions? What were your reactions to the anime, the Skull Island Netflix? I shouldn't even call it anime. It doesn't seem like an anime. It seems more just like a more Western animated feature. But what was everyone's reactions to this wonderful little surprise drop that we got?
I liked
for me,
it. I wasn't really expecting anything. I thought it was just over. Like, I didn't think we were ever going to see it again with Netflix just taking stuff down and like Disney's taking stuff down, Sony's taking stuff down. I was like, all right, well, we're never going to get a trailer for this. And then it was there. And I was like, all right, this looks fine. And that was it. I was like, okay. Like, it's lore, I guess, it's canon. And I was like, all right, this looks like a passable show that I will watch. And I had no expectations going in. I thought it was supposed to be an anime set during, like, World War II or something like that on Skull Island. But apparently, like, that's all out the window. And it looks like it's taking place sometime after Skull Island movie, but before GVK, so I'm like, what is I'm just curious to see what they're gonna do with it now, and like what elements they take from the other MonsterVerse properties, if they do, and I doubt it, but I'm excited.
I think it looks cool. I hope it's not a tax write-off.
It is.
Oh, Brendan Fraser.
Nikki, your thoughts?
I mean, I'm here for it. Skull Island is so interesting in the MonsterVerse films. It's so different from like anything previously that I really do love it because it's not the usual island filled with dinosaurs, and I do like that. And you know, Jurassic Park or Jurassic World franchise has kind of like taken over the dinosaur thing. So I think the fact that they don't have those dinosaurs, it makes it different. And I also like that it's kind of Ghibli inspired. I remember Jordan Voight Roberts did say that was a lot of the inspiration creating the creatures there. So I'm interested to see more of the life that's on Skull Island. I'm also curious where in the timeline this is, because is this before like the comic that's set for the Kong Skull Island? Because I know it's like in the 90s, or is this like post King of the Monsters? Actually, no, I guess it'd be before King of the Monsters. I don't know. I'm just curious to see where it's going to go. I'm here for it.
I like that it's interesting that it's called Skull Island and not Kong Skull Island. Just kind of like how like the Godzilla Apple Plus show is like not called like whatever Monarch Godzilla or anything like that. Like Godzilla's like not in the title. So, you know, it makes me seem like I wonder if like they're kind of planning for like the long term with the good MonsterVerse, where it's like, all right, we're going to kind of use these little vehicles to maybe introduce some new, like, I mean, they're going to have Kong forever, probably. But Godzilla's probably the question mark. Like, it's not like how long they're going to have Godzilla. So, like, I wonder if this is all, like, little things to kind of do to go, like, all right, let's flesh this world out a little bit more. Maybe get some new characters in, you know. I don't know. I mean, more monster content is, I always say more content is good. It's always good, you know, and it's...
Agreed.
You know, yeah, I kind of wonder if it fits too in the timeline, because he's already got the scars on his chest. And does he have those in Skull Island, or does he not have those? Does he get those? He gets those in Skull Island, right? Like,
I thought he got them from Godzilla in GVK.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was when he's on all fours beating his ass in Hong Kong. I thought that's what those scars are from. But I could be wrong.
He had those scars before GVK, because you look at some of the Playmate stuff from Skull Island line, he's got the scars already, I think.
Yeah,
right,
he just gets
right,
more
okay.
Godzilla.
Godzilla just gave him more scars.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Kong's gonna be in Godzilla and Kong, like going up to like other kaiju, going like, "Do you want to know how I got these scars?" He's like, "Oh, it's actually multiple stories I can tell you." But so I'm gonna guess it's probably after Skull Island, but I don't know. Who knows? I wonder if like John C. Reilly's Scott character is gonna get like a little cameo again.
Great.
I hope he's voiced by the guy who did Peter Venkman on the real Ghostbusters.
That seems like a very specific reference that I maybe not.
I just been watching a lot of real Ghostbusters on Amazon, so sorry.
Garfield?
And Rob, your thoughts on the trailer?
Brief. Very short, but like everybody's been saying, I'm here for it. And like you were saying, anything that expands the world more, because I don't know, the MonsterVerse feels more like a Godzilla and Kong verse than it does a monster verse. So it'll be nice to go back to Skull Island, which is rich with so many differing things than what we've been seeing. And I don't know, from what I've seen, like on Twitter from like KDM and other people, is that apparently the anime takes place in the 90s. Apparently. And, you know, that's before like everything in the MonsterVerse except for Skull Island. So if that's true, that's going to be interesting. I'm curious to see how they're going to further tie Kong and the Godzilla worlds together. I like the animation. It reminds me of Godzilla the series a little bit with the heavy line work and stuff. And I'm wondering if we're going to get figures of this, because, I mean, Singular Point got them. I'm always thinking about the merchandising. So
merchandising. Kong lunch boxes.
I would buy a Skull Island lunchbox. I absolutely would, as long as it came with the thermos. But yeah, I mean, the new monsters we saw look cool. I really like the Skullcrawler design that they're using. I think that translates really well to animated format. And I mean, what's to be bummed out about? We get more MonsterVerse content.
Exactly.
It's like, can't be upset about that. So
exactly. People get too upset about things these days. Like with like new properties, new content. Just come on.
There's people on Twitter getting upset that on the poster it said like all monsters, one king. Like Godzilla was the king. Like, it's just relax, relax.
Yeah, he was never called King Kong.
Kong was king first. It's monkey time. That's all it is to it. It's monkey time. It's time to monkey around. So
people getting upset about new content in 2023 clearly never lived through 1995 through like 1999 when the only new content we got was Godzilla 98. But that's foreshadowing.
Yes,
that's foreshadowing. But one other quick news item, and we won't spend too much time on it. Because actually, I don't think there is really too much to spend much time on this. But we also, as of this recording, we're actually recording on a Monday because, spoilers, I am going on vacation, so I'm not going to be around for the next 2 weeks. But so, if more news breaks, don't hold us to it. But it was also the 2-year anniversary of Godzilla Battle Line over the weekend. A very important game for this podcast. I mean, besides Godzilla 98, I don't know what else is that important in Melee's life besides this game. I mean, so I feel like we gotta at least touch on it a little bit. Melee, why don't you kick us off with your thoughts of the 2-year anniversary summit, which will be live for about 4 days by the time this episode drops.
Yeah, so the anniversary summit, I think overall was really good. I think that the worst part of it was that we didn't get what we were expecting, and I think that's the fans and like my fault as well for maybe gassing up like, oh, maybe we're gonna get new maps, maybe we're gonna get new stuff, where you would think for an anniversary of the game they would do it up real big. But this is the second year in a row where Battleline kind of just says like, it's our anniversary, is like whatever. Here's just like an extra, here's like a special update. Not like an extra special update. They really do take care though when it's Godzilla's birthday, but we didn't get anything like super bad except the announcement of like a second style of battle pass that we know nothing about except that it is an option that gives you gems, but we don't know anything about it or the cost. So we're going to have to wait and see what the deal is with that, but otherwise everything else is looking pretty good. I mean, they're announcing more MonsterVerse characters for Battleline, so MonsterVerse, Ghidorah, and Mothra are making it in. They both look pretty decent. We haven't, when this video
I'm excited for that
stream, or oh my god, podcast is recorded, we haven't been able to use them. Just Toho has been able to use them, and Toho doesn't generally play very well on their own streams, but they look pretty strong. They're like doing like a 30% discount on all the characters forever. So they're making it easier for newer players to catch up to some of the whales. They're rearranging the store. They're making it so if you buy gems, you get extra gems where there's like daily passes and stuff and like buffs. Like the general, like it just is just a normal update with some extra goodies thrown in it and nothing really so like super special for the birthday. So it's not like a total fumble, but it's definitely doesn't feel like a very special birthday. It just feels like, oh, here's another season of Battle Line with like some extra goodies.
Nice
But the new
try,
Monsterverse
Mom.
characters aren't leaving anytime soon, which is good.
Oh, that's cool.
That's all I got. Because they are
Anybody else?
insistent on keeping Kong out of this fucking game.
Anybody else with their thoughts on Battle Line?
Give me cool
I'm
egg shit.
excited for Mothra. I'd love to have another
well, of
Mothra
course.
to my team. I play for fun, not for strategy, so my teams are not that good because it's just all my favorite monsters, no strategy whatsoever. So I'm not going to be winning a lot of battles with all the Mothras I have, but I'm going to have fun.
Just
Do
level
you
up.
do you want to make any pleas for the new peace voting? Because I know what was it, Rainbow Mothra that was in the new
Yeah.
voting
Rainbow
pool?
Mothra. I did
Go ahead,
vote
make
for
your plea.
Rainbow Mothra,
Make
but
your plea.
I'm not gonna lie. I do kind of want Mogira too. So vote for the robot penguin.
It does look like a robot
Guess who you
penguin. I
voted
looked
for?
at it. Oh, for me? Oh, geez. I don't care. Whoever.
Oh, okay, cool. Vote for Varan. then.
There you
Zilla
go,
sweep.
yeah.
Hashtag
Go for it.
Zilla sweep. Don't listen to anyone on this podcast. Put Godzilla 1998 in the fan vote poll. When he gets added, you vote for him. Hashtag Zilla sweep.
Sure.
Hey,
Absolutely.
I'm here for it. A Russian like King Caesar Zilla. I'm here for it.
No Caesar. No Caesars. I'm all set with. We already got one. That's enough.
Rob, I know you said you still play multiple hours a day daily. Is that correct?
No. I haven't played in months, but I'll vote for Zilla. I'll do that much. I will vote for number one Tuna Head. Absolutely. But other than
There
that,
we go.
I'm 100% checked out. Too much Zelda, too much Bolt Gun, too much
I envy you,
Street
sir.
Fighting Foot Simulator. What?
Be like Rob. I envy you, sir.
Why?
Because you're checked out. I wish I could check out.
Oh.
It just keeps on sucking me back in.
Yeah, they lost me. I lost myself, and it wasn't in the game. I don't know. It just over the head. I don't know what it is.
No, listen. I mean, if you want to open up about it, you can.
Well, when I was 6 years old, and no, nothing like that. But I don't know. Like, it's a fun game. I can't be fucked to look at my phone that long. I think that's
Gotcha.
what it is. I look at my phone too long, my eyes start hurting, and they start going like this. I start
Same.
squinting, and then, I don't know, then I just want to play Zelda. So, most of the
Same.
time, I just
Same.
skip, and I just go right into Tears of the Kingdom, where I get emotionally damaged almost every time. So,
It's so damaging. I love it.
I do too. I love it when it hurts. But anyway.
We could turn this into a Tears of the Kingdom podcast very easily, just like our Discord, but we won't do that today.
No.
Today we're going to focus on our pal Godzilla.
Our good buddy.
And in 1998, we got a movie about Godzilla. Not just Zilla, Godzilla. And it was even called Godzilla. And Slick and I, we've already reviewed this. We've said our piece. I'm just going to go into it really quick on my overall thoughts. Very watchable movie, great pace. New characters are sort of introduced and interlaid at good points to where the movie just always feels like it's flowing naturally. That being said, the highlight of me rewatching this was the John Cena Rent commercial that came on as I watched it on
Watching it on TV.
Tubi. But yeah, one thing I want to point out is I never really caught the harem line that Audrey gives Nick Tatopoulos when she's buying all the pregnancy kits. They haven't seen each other for like 8 years, and she's like, "Must be quite the harem you have."
Listen,
And that kind of popped me. Other
story,
than that, Audrey is
so-
terrible.
So besides that being the story of my life, the quick background story to this movie is that we just missed the recording this on the actual 25th anniversary of this movie's release. It came out on May 20th, 1998, which was a Wednesday,
always happens.
and I kind of
We
confirmed.
always do this.
I know we're always like missing by like 5 days. So that was a Wednesday, and Cass and I did not see it on a Wednesday because I did think about this, and I did confirm that I was, in fact, grounded for not having my shirt tucked in by my strict parents. And so we saw it that Friday or Saturday, I believe. This is a movie that had a production budget of $130 to $150 million, and it made a gross of $379 million. And something that we will come back to talk about a little bit later. It had a marketing budget of $80 million, which that's a lot of money. That's a lot of fish in 1998. So we also kind of went into a much more extensive background about the making of this movie and stuff like that in our first episode. But because, now that we're doing our 100th episode with you guys, I guess what I'm curious to know about is, when did you all first see it? Because I know it's going to be very different for the three of you. And were you into Godzilla yet? Melee, I want to end with you, because you're going to have the wildest shit going on here. So
featuring Sir Melee.
So, Nikki, when did you first see it? And were you into Godzilla yet at this point?
So I was into tokusatsu. I had boy cousins who got me into Power Rangers, the Masked Rider, Saban thing, all those. But I didn't see Godzilla until, actually, now I think about it, this one. This actually is my entrance to Godzilla. We didn't see it in theaters, but we saw the video in store, and I want my parents to buy it because I was obsessed with dinosaurs. Again, grew up with a lot of boy cousins, and I was consuming Power Rangers and Jurassic Park. And, I want to see it because I want big dinosaur in New York. That sounds so cool. Gotta say, I don't have many memories of this movie. I do remember watching it a lot, but I only remember the Godzilla stuff. All the human stuff I do not remember. And I remember the cartoon a lot. I remember watching the cartoon religiously when I was a kid. And then I didn't have my introduction to real Japanese Godzilla until 2001. There was a sci-fi channel premiering the Heisei Godzilla films, and I caught the end of Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. My dad called me and said, "Look, I used to watch this as a kid. This is the Godzilla I grew up with." And I was enthralled. And then after that, my first full movie, because it was back-to-back Godzillas, they played Godzilla vs. Mothra in 1992.
Excellent.
And I was hooked. I watched the whole marathon, and I did not watch the Godzilla 98 version after that ever. So this was my first time rewatching it in years.
And so was that also the hook with Mothra as well? Were you instantly sold when you saw Godzilla vs. Mothra?
Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah hooked me on Godzilla, and then quickly Mothra afterwards hooked me in. So, and then Batra too. Oh my god, yes, good and evil moths. I'm here for it. I wanted to be the twins. I learned all the Mothra songs. I replayed that movie to death on my VCR when I recorded it. You have no idea.
It's a good one.
Fooled
I like
me.
it.
I have so many Mothra questions, but I'll save them for later, I think.
I will
Rob, what was?
Oh, sorry. I will just say one thing, because Godzilla was not my first, but I do want to say I am proud to say that Gamera was my first real tokusatsu movie. I know that's pretty rare, but I managed to catch the Gamera Guardian of the Universe on TV with my family and watch the whole thing. So I am proud to say that my first tokusatsu film was not Godzilla, it was Gamera.
Awesome.
Oh my god! Imagine if that's like your first, like that. What a good. My first was Godzilla vs. Megalon, and you had Gamera Guardian of the Universe. What difference in quality? That says something more about my dumpster taste than anything else. Rob, what was your experience with this movie?
Who, me?
Yeah.
What's the matter, you?
It's a me, Mario. I was already a Godzilla fan when this movie was coming out. My father basically raised me on all of like the older VHS tapes. I mean, my first movie was Godzilla versus the Sea Monster, so I had a pretty set identity with Godzilla going into the 1998 film. I saw it in theaters with my stepbrother and my stepfather, and yeah, that was an experience. And hearing Godzilla roar in a movie theater at the tender age of 6 was truly, truly an experience. And I hate that it took so long to happen again after another year. But I'm sorry, what was the rest of the question?
Well, you were already into Godzilla at that point, and just like, so was this like, were you really into Godzilla, or was this like the beginning of your fandom at this point?
Oh, I was like deep into it. Whenever I would go see my father, there was this store somewhat down the line called Outer Limits, which always had the old school Bandai like vinyl Godzilla figures with the tags, which is what ruined me for life at that point in time. And whenever I could convince my grandmother to take me to Toys R Us, I would always get something new from the Trendmasters 98 line. And yeah, I was fully ruined by Godzilla by the time I was 6 years old. It had consumed my everyday life as a kid was Godzilla, Power Rangers, The Masked Rider. It's like I was into it. I was there, and as a kid, I liked it. Godzilla 1998. I liked it. It's like, yeah, this doesn't seem right, but at the same time, I like it. Big Lizard, New York. I'm right over there.
Yeah, that works. I promised I would end with Melee, so I think maybe Kes and I will kind of recap our experience here, because I'm 14 years old when this movie comes out. I am so into Godzilla at this point. Like, I've been subscribed to GFan for a few years. My collection is starting. I have imported Space Godzilla, Destroya, Mechagodzilla from weird, shady bootleggers. Like, I am like pretty much all caught up on the movies, and I'll come back to this like a little bit later. But then it's like the merchandise leak happens of like the new Godzilla design. I go, okay, it's a little different. It's a little different. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. And then, Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin, they're like kind of giving interviews where like they're basically kind of shitting on all the Godzilla movies before that, basically saying like, whatever came before is kind of stupid, and we're kind of making this new movie. So besides getting grounded for not having my shirt tucked in school, I would probably say this was the second most traumatic experience of 1998 for me, seeing this movie. I remember seeing this with Kes, and I think I just kind of remember walking out of the theater shell-shocked. And I kind of remember... Yeah, why don't you take it from there? That's kind of like where I black out.
Okay, so I distinctly remember you like walking out and me just kind of being like, whatever. And you had like this look on your face, like someone pissed in your Cheerios, and you were so mad. And the first thing I will never forget this. The first thing you said was, "Godzilla doesn't get shot down by missiles." You were so peeved at that finish.
Thank God 14-year-old me did not have access to Twitter. Thank God that was not a thing in 1998. I really had like nowhere to...
You weren't like very up. You weren't like flailing about it. You weren't having a tantrum. You just like very calmly were just like voicing your disgust to me.
Well, that's how I internalized sadness, and I think I was very, very sad because I was like, oh my god, I was like, we're getting an American Godzilla movie. Like, I'm gonna see one in theaters. Like, you're gonna understand, like 14-year-old me is like just so hyped for this, and then I saw the movie, and I'm sitting there going like, oh my god, there's never gonna be a Godzilla movie again. This was, it was like the worst breakup experience of like my life at like 14. I just melted down. It was. So anyway, so that was my trauma. So Melee. So why don't you bring us back up there, buddy?
Before we get to Melee, though, before that, I just want to recap my experience real quick. Like, I was into like baseball and wrestling So like you were into Godzilla and we played like a lot of GoldenEye together and wrestling games together. So like we went to see this movie because I still like this stuff. And I remember just being like, yeah, whatever. Like it stunk, whatever. And just being like, yeah, it was the ending of King Kong basically, except it was a bridge instead of a building. And you were just so mad about it, and it kind of like made me mad about it too. That's just my quick wrap up of my experience. But anyway, Melee, back over to you. Sorry to interrupt.
It's your podcast.
You're the main event though here, because I feel like your experience is going to be the funnest.
Listen, I wasn't even liquid when they first started dropping drafting the script for this movie. All right, I wasn't even a thought. Right, I'm barely older than this movie. But it was not my first Godzilla movie. I think my first Godzilla movie was Mothra versus Godzilla. So I was like already on the Godzilla train as like a youngster, as I've discussed on this podcast, I believe. I was like, man, all these movies are great. I really wish like there was one that was kind of like I don't know, like maybe more close to home. I was like, man, these movies are so cool. They're all happening in like Japan, and like, isn't there one in America? And my dad was like, well, I got a movie for you. It's not only in America, it's in your backyard, New York City. And I was like, hell yeah, let's run it. And I watched that movie as a kid, and I was like, I gotta tell you, Dad, this is peak. I was like, this is it. This is living. I was like, my bar for Godzilla movies at like 5 was so low. And I rock with this movie so fucking hard to this day. I like it a lot. Unironically, Godzilla 1998 is in my top 3 Godzilla designs. I don't think the movie overall is an amazing movie, but I find it enjoyable and with a lot of rewatch potential. I don't care that Godzilla doesn't fight anything. I don't care that he dies to the missiles, and I don't care that he doesn't have the atomic breath. It's a fun watch.
He kind of does.
Godzilla's ripping. He kind of does the atomic breath where he's like, he burps in the street and like all the cars catch on fire. I'm like, all right, I get it. But I just like watching him rip through New York City, man. He takes the Chrysler building down. He's digging through MSG. I'm like, man, this is it. I'm like, that's like, it's probably how you guys felt when you saw Godzilla and Ghidorah duking it out in Boston.
Yes.
That's me as a child being like, oh, he's taking down the Chrysler building's going down. And then I was like, man, I really wish there was more. And then my dad came home with like the DVDs of the animated show. I was like, get the fuck out of here. I was like, there's more. And I had the Game Boy game and I had the DVDs. I didn't actually have any figures from the Trendmaster stuff because I was a little too young when the movie came out. So I guess by the time I was old enough to watch this movie, they weren't really in stores anymore. But I did have a bunch of like the Trendmasters, maybe not Trendmasters, Playmates, whoever made like the Bandai Movie Monster stuff that was in Toys R Us. I had a few of those old ones from like the early 2000s. But I like this movie. I got a couple figures of it. My stream and my Discord knows how much I like this movie, and I will defend it. With my last breath.
Wait, do you like the Game Boy game?
I don't remember it. I just remember having
terrible.
it.
I can tell you about it.
I'm sure it was fine. I had like the Monsters Inc. Game Boy game, Pokemon Gold, and the Godzilla Game Boy game, and I was like, okay. I'm like the original iPad kid, bro. Like, come on.
You should probably go back and listen to Kes and I play the Game Boy game from probably just like 10 episodes or so ago.
Oh, I'll have to go do that.
We'll see if you stop playing Battleline forever just to try to like get a world record on that game.
I'll hit it. I'll go buy it on Mercari right now for like $10. I'll have it here tomorrow and I'll get a world record.
Well, I'm glad I ended with you, Melee, because I think you're going to probably have to sit this one out, because I like how you put it that you weren't even liquid during this next topic. What does... that was disgusting. What was everyone's memory of the marketing campaign for this? Kes, kick us off. Tell us about your memories of the marketing.
I have a great memory of the marketing. So I remember everything, like the Super Bowl commercial, the music videos, all that leading up. But my memory is so distinct that I'll never forget this. I was on a date with a girl named Amanda, and we were going to see Men in Black in movie the July before this came out. And so we went and we got there for the previews. And the preview was the teaser where they're in the museum with the T-Rex skeleton, and Godzilla's foot just comes in and crushes the T-Rex skeleton. And I remember just being like, oh, that looks awesome. And that was the end of my experience dating Amanda.
I actually remember you calling me after that movie and saying like, yeah, probably not going to see Amanda again, but I saw the Godzilla trailer.
Morals in the right place.
So Nicki, I know you kind of saw this movie after, but do you kind of have like a memory of, you know, the Taco Bell merchandise or whatever, like any of the merchandising blitz that was like lingered around this movie for years?
So I do remember the marketing a lot. It does help that one of my older sisters did work at Blockbuster around the same time too. So I would go visit her at her work, and there would be some promo stuff there. I remember like a big cardboard cutout Godzilla for like the VHSs. In fact, I think we may have actually bought the VHS from her Blockbuster. But I do remember the Taco Bell ads. I do remember the commercials for the movie theater. I do remember wanting to go see it in the movie theater, but I don't think my parents thought I was old enough to handle it, which I was like 6 or 7, 8. I don't know, but maybe I wouldn't have been that good in a movie theater. I remember my first movie was Pokemon 2000, but that's another topic. So, but yes, I do remember the marketing, and I do remember also getting my first Godzilla figure. It was the 98. It was like a little 98 Godzilla, and it had like the blue beam, like that would shoot out of its mouth. I don't remember what happened to it, but it was like my bestest friend. I carried it around like a little pet everywhere. So everyone else had like, all the other girls had like plush cats and for Barbie dolls, and then I had a little Godzilla.
I'm trying to think which figure that is that has like the little blue.
I think I actually.
Oh,
I tried to look for it. It was like a little blue missile that would shoot out of his mouth, and you'd hold down his dorsal fin in the middle, and it would shoot out.
Rob knows.
Yeah, I got him right over there.
His body was closable.
I got him right over there.
I found it on eBay.
Like, so
Nice.
I actually don't have a lot of merchandise from back then because I was so angry at the movie that I refused to buy any merchandise because I was a petty 14-year-old angsty child.
He was hurt.
But
your favorite wrestler was Raven.
Listen, I already opened up to you. Guys that I got grounded for not having my shirt tucked in. What kind of fucked up childhood do you think I had? If that's the starting point. But Rob, what was your experience with or memories of the marketing around this movie?
This was the movie that got me to go eat at Taco Bell because I wanted Godzilla stuff, and yet again, life ruined ever since. I actually ate at Taco Bell so much that I got so fucking sick of it that I didn't eat Taco Bell until I was out of high school after that. So there was that. I mean, I remember walking into KB Toys, Blockbuster, Toys R Us. This movie was everywhere. You couldn't really walk into a major store that was like a comic book shop or a media conglomerate, whatever the heck you want to call it, without seeing Godzilla 1998 stuff. So I was just awash in it. I mean, like I said before, whenever I could convince my grandmother to take me to Toys R Us, I was always consuming those Trendmasters figures. I was the TV spots. Whenever I would be working on my homework, my mom would call me into the other room. The Godzilla thing's on TV, and I would run and slip and fall and break my face, and just to watch like 3 seconds of a Godzilla 1998 trailer. Like, I remember it being like one of the most like exciting times as a kid, because I think maybe a year later Star Wars Episode 1 came out, and that was like the next thing. But and Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, like it was just mostly positive, because at the time I knew what Godzilla was, and I was, so very into it. I didn't really care as a child that the movie wasn't what it should have been. I don't know how to properly word that without sounding like a dick, but it was positive. I was a typical 90s kid just consuming media and merchandising to the point, like, I had a Godzilla 1998 themed birthday party. Everywhere. I brought my one toy everywhere with me.
Wait! You can't gloss over that.
What?
you had a Godzilla 98 themed birthday party?
Yeah, I did, which is crazy because I think all of the birthday material came out before the movie did, and on the cake was the Godzilla design. It's like, good job keeping it a secret, everybody. I mean, I knew what he looked like before all that, but yeah, I actually have some of the stuff over there. There was like these little plastic rings with the Godzilla photo on them that went on the cupcakes. They had the cake topper, had the cake print. There were cups. There were all this other stuff, and it was at the local bowling alley that was also a pizzeria. Yeah, it was Godzilla 1998 themed birthday party. Whenever the trailer came on, they would put the sound on the TV. It's just like, oh, yeah, he's having the party. Godzilla, yeah, look on TV. It was, yeah. I really can't say that it was a negative experience in the slightest, and I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, the marketing leading up to the movie was, whenever I think of the movie, the marketing leading up to it was so awesome because it felt like they kept Godzilla to the best of their abilities until it all got leaked. They kept the design a secret. They had like the New Year's Eve trailer where like, I don't remember which station did it, but like rather than actually have a New Year's Eve countdown, they just cut to a Godzilla trailer where his tail knocks the New Year's ball, like, into the crowd. And I remember, like, hearing about that, going, well, fuck, I gotta watch that. Yeah. Like, I pretty much only listened to, like, especially at that point in time, I was, like, probably only listening to, like, Metallica and the Misfits, but I was getting up at, like, 5:30 in the morning because I figured out that's when it was most likely to see the Wallflowers, like, play that cover of Heroes by David Bowie so I could record it and get, like a snippet of like Godzilla's tail and foot, and now I've actually really grown to like that cover. I think that's really good. In fact, I only know one other Wallflower song, and I like that one too. So as far as I know, everything they write is a fucking banger. I still would not do the Taco Bell though. I do not like Taco Bell. Cass knows I have a very strong dislike. Right now, like, I'm literally on a podcast right now with people that if I was dumped on an island and said you have to play Tears of the Kingdom and eat Taco Bell or else you're gonna die, like I'd be the first one to die on this podcast. I am not doing. I don't know how to do either of those things. So
let's get a cheese quesadilla, man. Just relax.
What was that?
Just get a cheese quesadilla, man. Just relax.
Get yourself a nice quesadilla, a big cup of Baja Blast, you'll be just fine.
Right.
Just big cup of Baja Blast.
Yeah, Baja Blast, nature's nectar.
We all are probably aware now that they merchandise this movie quite a bit. And the movie didn't perform as well as it was thought, and the merchandise in turn did not sell as well as we thought it would. And boy, what a ripple effect that had, where it kind of killed the Trendmasters line. It killed future Godzilla movies, but I think the merchandising kind of killing off all those things is probably another topic for another time, because I think that's a lot of build-up. We should all probably talk about the movie itself now.
Yes.
Let's see. Who wants to go first with their thoughts now on the movie? Watching it now. Not then, but like watching it now.
Who wants to go first?
Jesus, not all at once. Holy fuck.
I have a very hot take for the movie that I kind of want to save after I hear what everyone else has to say about the movie. Because my stream has heard me talk about this hot topic until the end of time. But I know that some people here probably haven't heard it yet. So I want to save it.
Oh boy. Okay, I'll go first, if anything.
Go for it.
Go.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't think I've really come back to this movie very often, but I bought it on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, and now I have it on 4K. I think it's the one Godzilla movie that I have the most copies of at this point. But sitting down, watching it in 4K on a 4K TV, I mean, I really don't think as a movie itself it's as, what's the word, insulting as a lot of people make it out to be. It's like, yes, it's not Godzilla-esque, but if it was truly a horrible movie, I would not have been able to sit through that stone cold sober, what? And just laughing my ass off at some of the stuff that's happening, some of the things that were said. I mean, it's a quick movie. It's in and out and done pretty quickly. And sure, yeah, last half is kind of Jurassic Park-esque, but I don't know. Like, I don't see it as like this huge pile on Godzilla's name. Like, I really don't. And again, there's like, you know, it's like, yeah, Godzilla dies by missiles. Okay, big fucking deal. You've been saying the same damn thing for 25 years. It's a fun movie to watch. It is. Not for all the right reasons, but I mean, like, there's some shots in here where it's a miniature. It looks amazing. There's some shots in here that are CG that actually look better than some of the things coming out today. Fight me on it. There's a compositing shot of Godzilla's foot coming down on a car, and it looks fantastic. It really does. Come at me, Disney and Marvel. You're not doing it right. And even though Roland Emmerich is an unholy cheesehead, and I can't stand the look of his face, it looks like he's always smelling poop. I don't know why. That's just the image that comes across. Where was I going with that? I don't like the man, but the movie itself, to separate the art from, if you even want to call him an artist, it's a fun time. It's a fun popcorn flick. I can watch Godzilla 1998 like I watch one of the now 10 Fast and the Furious movies. It's fun. And I'm sick and tired of it being considered this horrible stain or anything like that. I had fun. I watched all the bonus features. I was up for 5 hours consuming Godzilla 1998 stuff. And I had a fun time. That's it.
There you go.
That's it. Come at me.
Everyone wants to talk about how cool it is in GVK that Godzilla's crawling on all fours fighting Kong, but no one wants to talk about how Godzilla 1998 did it first. No one's ready for that conversation.
Talk your shit, man!
Lobbing grenades like that. Lobbing bombs with a take like that. I know, like, Rob kind of touched on something there, Nicki, that I know you were also kind of interested in highlighting. But so, why don't you kind of hit us with your thoughts?
Well, so it does start off really good. Like, the intro showing the atomic testing in the South Pacific, the attack on the Japanese fishing boat, like the scene when the claws come through, so good. That's a practical effect, and it looks amazing. I wish we would get more shots like that because it was so cool. Seeing that physical interaction. The focus on radioactivity, like everywhere he goes. And like even later in the film where they're like, where he gets the name, Gojira, they call it Godzilla, they Americanize it, and they mention it's like a Japanese mythical sea dragon. There's a lot of good stuff in there, but there is some stuff where they kind of miss the mark, or like they completely drop it altogether. Like, we can't find him in this city. We were able to read all the radioactivity on him like earlier in the film. Why can't we read the radioactivity off him right now?
Have you ever seen the Hudson River?
Oh, don't even get me started on that. You expect me to believe that there are New Yorkers fishing in the Hudson River?
Yes.
Come on. No.
100%.
Didn't Kramer take a dip in that?
They ain't fishing for fish, though.
All I'll add to that really quick is that KES and I live in a town that is also infamous for its polluted water. But
a civil action.
So, we always pause a little bit whenever we see somebody fishing in there. I'll just leave that there.
So, yeah, they do get some stuff right. There is some stuff that missed the ball. I do think the effects are amazing. Like, the miniatures, there are a lot of miniatures in this film, and I don't know if people know that, and they are top notch. Like,
Sure.
Look up some of the miniatures on YouTube, and you'll be amazed at like which ones are. Actually, there's even some fun Easter eggs too, because apparently the miniature people, they had like this little man figure they put on the edge. They called it what they called him? I think they called him like Jumping Joe or something like that. And he's in every shot hidden that made the film. Like
Oh,
the
wow.
cameraman loved it so much they would not start filming. So if you ever want to rewatch that film looking for little man on the edge, you can find him. Also, apparently there's Batman hidden in one of the windows.
Oh,
But despite all the how I feel were some shortcomings, I actually do think that on a rewatch like now, what has Godzilla has become, I think this is kind of ahead of its time. I mean, the design is drastic, but so
Melee's
was
like
Shin
jumping out of
Godzilla.
his seat right
So
now.
was Singular Point Godzilla. The fact that it's an amazing design. Like it's drastically different, but it's got the spines, it's got everything. It's got everything that you could call Godzilla. Maybe adjusted, obviously, but it's still there, I think. To me, at least. And as far as the missiles, I mean, Shin Godzilla got taken out by having us chug cranes like coagulant in his
He got a
mouth. So
bird.
I think there's worse ways he could
You got a
go.
brain
He hit the
freeze.
chug jug too hard.
Yeah, not saying that that's bad. I love Shin Godzilla, but I mean, the term of what Godzilla can be is not set in stone anymore. It's grown to like he can be, I don't know, a prehistoric mammal that's evolving rapidly. Shin Godzilla. He could be an interdimensional being like Singular Point. He could be a primordial radioactive titan. Godzilla, whatever you want to call him, this Godzilla was ahead of that. It took the essence of Godzilla and turned it into something new, and I kind of like it for that.
Brilliant.
Movie aside, I think, some things could have been better, but I do think that this version of Godzilla deserves its title as Godzilla.
Yeah,
interesting.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
And you make a very good point, like an extremely good point, with Godzilla not being set in stone and this essentially being this wild new take that Shin Godzilla was, Godzilla Earth was, Godzilla Ultima was. I seriously never even thought about it like that, and I'm just completely new. Wow.
That's what I've been saying for the longest time. Thank you, Mothra. I appreciate that comment so much from you. That's not my hot take, but I've said I agree with you 100%. If this movie came out today, people would be like, "Oh, this is such a unique and experimental view on Godzilla, and like he's just like an animal in this. He's not like this god monster. He's like an animal, man. Like that's crazy. Like he's a god in Singular Point, right? He's like the destruction of the multiverse. In Earth, he's 20,000 years old. He's like 1 billion feet tall, and he's melting the ground around him when he fires his beams. What's the worst? He's digging through the subway in New York City. Come on, having babies. That's not as bad.
Nah. But it would still be divisive.
Used to the Heisei era at that
It
time.
would still be divisive, though. People would still...
So is Singular Point,
yeah.
so is
divisive.
Earth, so is the Monsterverse.
Everybody would be...
One thing,
I don't know, I feel like the conversation would be a little bit healthier these days had 98 come out today. A little bit.
Mhm.
I'm not talking about a vast
Mhm.
improvement here. But, after getting Shin Godzilla anime trilogy, Singular Point, and the Monsterverse, I don't know. I think there'd be a little bit more open love for 98, the movie, not its director.
I totally agree. and one thing I want to interject in here too about the miniatures is that the Roland Emmerich movies of the 90s always had spectacular miniatures. Like Independence Day
Yeah.
had really good at miniatures, and in this too, like that whole scene where the camera flying in between the buildings and all that stuff with the Godzilla chase with the helicopters, that's all miniatures and stuff. Like it looks awesome. It looks like almost like a Batman movie. So to have Batman kind of like placed in there, it makes a lot of sense.
So, fun fact about that, I did do a lot of research because I love me some research. The only miniatures built for this movie were the Madison Square Garden, outside and interior, the nest,
Mhm.
and then the Chrysler Building. The only reason they had the Chrysler Building made is because they went to the same studio that was making the miniature Chrysler Building for the movie Armageddon, which also gets blown up. So it's the same miniature mold. And the buildings, everything else, they all took it from other movies. And some of those movies they borrowed were from Batman. So if you take a look, I'm sure you'd recognize some
No.
movies.
Hey, yo.
I
That
did
makes
not
a lot
know
of
that.
sense. Like they
Yeah,
look
you
like
can't deny
Batman
the
Returns
atmosphere
movies.
of this movie is incredible. Like that rainy, dark, gothic atmosphere. It does feel like Batman Returns or like some shit like that. Sorry, Cass, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
You're good.
Yeah, I think specifically the movies they borrowed the miniatures from were mostly Batman and Fifth Element, but they redid the Fifth Element ones a bit.
It must have been Batman Returns because that's exactly what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you kind of I mean, I've always kind of been the big proponent of like, especially like in this kind of like Godzilla renaissance we've been like living in for the last, 10 years now, where I was like, yeah, it's like all these different takes on Godzilla, like that's all good. Like, if you don't like the anime trilogy, you don't like Singular Point, like you're probably going to like the Legendary movies. If you don't like the Legendary movies, you're probably going to like Shin Godzilla. And, I think if Godzilla 98 came out now, I think I agree with everybody that like it wouldn't be probably perceived so hard. I mean, everything is divisive. Like every movie that comes out has like extreme takes on either end. But I think this would certainly have like a much more. It would exist better now, I think, in this environment where we go, okay, this is going to be just one new Godzilla thing that's coming out, while we're simultaneously getting something that is more akin to like the classic Toho movies. We're also getting the Monsterverse. We're getting these animes at the same time. It would just be like another type of Godzilla. I think at the time, when I was like, oh my god, I was like, this is it or like nothing. And like until like Godzilla 2000 got announced, I thought like the franchise was dead. At the time, I was like, devastated. But now, like in retrospect, I kind of look back at the movie and go like, okay, like actually watching it like this time, it's like, God, it's like a 1998 like time capsule. It's like it is so much like all those other 90s blockbusters that came out, like Independence Day, like Armageddon, like shitty movies like The Day After Tomorrow. Like it feels like just like all of those movies. Like I think I remember at the time going like, oh, I think this is like a little carbon copy of those movies, but kind of seeing it now like in a vacuum, I was like, nah, the late 90s blockbuster movies like were a vibe, and the only thing that was like really missing from this was like a Sixpence None the Richer song like on the soundtrack or something like that, because like that's the only thing that's like missing from like really capping the 90s on this. But as a movie, I still think it's like I don't like, if I remove kind of like the Mayor Ebert stuff, because like he gave a bad review to like Armageddon or whatever the fuck he gave a bad review to, and I move on like that petty stuff, I go, yeah, it's it's a watchable movie, it's fun. I think it drags a little bit in the middle. There's a lot of like weird subplots in the middle that I don't think like really could be trimmed and probably like move the movie along a little bit faster. And then of course, but I mean, it did give me like my favorite line in any Godzilla movie, where Audrey's watching the TV in a bar and she's like, "It's Gojira, you moron," and I can just never stop laughing at that line every time I hear it.
Also, his name is Mr. Kamen. Like,
oh yeah. Melee, bring us home with your take.
So my hot take that has gotten me in trouble with Godzilla Twitter is that I believe that the 1998 Godzilla movie is as impactful and influential to the Godzilla franchise as a whole as the original movie is.
Yeah, I'm aware of this take of yours. I will say I don't 100% disagree. If it was not received the way it was received,
but
we would not have gotten Godzilla.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah. So you're gonna say? I thought you were gonna say something else. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah.
Speak yourself.
It achieved its relevancy in a negative way. Because if it wasn't received like the way it was, we wouldn't have gotten Godzilla 2000. We wouldn't have got GMK or the Kiryu duology and so on. But
you wouldn't have the MonsterVerse. They've cited the MonsterVerse specifically as saying that they learned from Godzilla 1998 what not to do in a Godzilla movie. Everything that you see in the MonsterVerse is influenced because of the 1998 movie, because they're like, oh, we should have Godzilla fight monsters. They weren't going to have him fight a monster in the first MonsterVerse movie, but they were like, hey, that didn't work out too well the first time. Let's put a monster in here. You're welcome. Final Wars, you wouldn't have had that. You wouldn't have had Captain Gordon without this movie. You wouldn't have had any of the Millennium Era without this movie, because Toho was committed to keeping Godzilla buried for a little while longer after Versus Destroya and bring him back when the time was, when the time was right. 98 bombs, because that's fresh off the heels of Versus Destroya, which in my opinion is probably the best of the Toho Godzilla movies. In my personal opinion, I think Destroya is in the top 3.
My favorite of the Heisei.
So there you go. Wait, what?
My counterpoint to that is if Banno doesn't sign off his rights to make a new Godzilla movie to Legendary, you don't get the MonsterVerse. So I would say that Godzilla vs. Hedorah is in fact the most important Godzilla movie since the original. Because Banno was so dedicated to making a sequel to that movie that
when did he sell that, though?
Those rights.
He should have.
In between wanting to do Godzilla 3D, well, yes, you're going to say after Final Wars and all that, but
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So that was all happening after Godzilla 1998 came out.
I think
we still had the Millennium Era.
I think it gets you to Final Wars, because then Final Wars bombs, and then there's no more Godzilla on the horizon, and then it took one man with a vision, a smoggy vision, to bring us back.
Godzilla 3D to the max, where he would fight Deathlock.
Yeah. God, that's... yeah.
I would have seen it. Banno should have cooked more. I don't care what anybody says. That man was a chef.
I would have seen it.
And he had ideas. But anyway.
He certainly had ideas.
Oh, he did. And he should have cooked. They should have let that man cook. But Godzilla 19.
So... I think that Godzilla 1954, extremely important movie, right? Extremely important movie. Influenced everything up until 1995. Solely. Post 1995, starting in the glorious year of 1998, Godzilla bombs. Immediately after that bombs, Japan brings back Godzilla and Godzilla 2000 immediately after, because they're like, oh, we can't let this slide. Then they dunk on 98 in GMK. They go make a few more movies. They dunk on them again in 2004. Then we go into a 10-year hiatus. MonsterVerse comes out where they admit that they looked at 98 to see what they should be doing better. And then now we have the MonsterVerse, which is now one of the biggest franchises in the world. Godzilla is a household name. Kong is a household name. There's merchandise everywhere. So it's a full circle. If we had a great launch off with 54. Showa era was all right. I'm not a big fan of all of it, but a lot of people love it. Heisei, killer. 98. That's the springboard. Everything after that is directly influenced in one shape or another because of how 98 performed or how it was written, or one aspect of that movie has gone on to inform the rest of all of Godzilla, period, going forward. That's why I think it's one of the most influential, right behind the first movie. Not because it's like peak cinema, even though I might think it's peak cinema, but because the influence it's had on the Godzilla property as a whole, I think it cannot be understated.
So the blueprint for better or worse.
Exactly.
Even though it could be construed as negative influence, it's still influence nonetheless.
Bad press is still, good press.
You can't.
Okay.
So
you can't deny
I think
it.
without condoning or condemning, I understand.
The theory is sound, and listen. It got me. People on Twitter were not happy about it, but I've Stockholm syndrome my Discord into also going with this. I'd like to think, and I always repost a meme anytime someone in my Discord brings up the 98 movie, where it just says it's a picture of Godzilla, and it just says somewhere in the world there's a young Godzilla fan getting triggered by the 20-year-old Godzilla 98 film trying to cash in on the bandwagon of hate. And I'm like, you just want to hate it. Like, you can't tell me it's not like influential. You just start looking for something to hate, man. Come
That's
on.
really what it is, though.
First, your Discord totally is a cult of personality. Second, Godzilla 2000 also dunks on Godzilla 98 because it's been well documented that Orga's design and his face is supposed to be a riff on the Godzilla 98 design so that the Japanese Godzilla could kill the American Godzilla. That is well documented. But do you guys think that that Godzilla, legendary Godzilla, is so beefy and juiced up in response to Godzilla 98? Like, do you think that's a direct response? I think so too. Do you guys,
100%.
the rest of you guys, think that?
I like Speedy Zilla.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Though, like, did they go like, oh, everyone's kind of dogged on Godzilla 98 for so long that like we just got to make legendary Godzilla like so beefy in response?
I agree with
He
you.
does seem to get bigger with each movie, doesn't
Yeah, he's really packing down. The
He's
Krispy
American.
he? He's really chugged
Yeah.
up.
I mean,
He's the one that needs he's the one that needs a Taco Bell promotion.
no, he doesn't. That man's need Jenny Craig. But
Be nice.
hey, as a fellow thick boy, I can sympathize with the man. But I feel
We're just joking around. I'm just
I feel like it can go both ways. I mean, they could have made him Big Chonk Boy, Tuchanka, in just response to 98 being too slim and slender. Or maybe they just wanted man to be a monolith from like the beginning. Maybe they're like, no, this man needs to look like he consumes atomic Big Macs every night, at least 4 before he goes to sleep, and then some fish. It could go either way, but I don't know, Melee, you drive a pretty hard bargain with what you were saying prior. It's, yeah, I'll have to agree about the whole influential take on Godzilla 1998. It's hard to deny, really. So, because you can kind of see the footprint, no pun intended, you can kind of see the footprint of 98 in pretty much everything coming out today, either in response or whatever have you. So, yeah, maybe he is big boy because Zilla wasn't. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they said we got to get that. We got to crush all memories of Godzilla 98 with that design.
You need to make him look like a bear.
Overcompensating. But I do like the 98 design, and I'll pivot that as like our last, or at least I had for like our last topic for this movie is we got an animated show after this. I mean, I don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but I love the animated series. I think the best thing that came out of Godzilla 98 was the animated series. I didn't actually really watch it when it was first on, because I was still being a petty, angsty 14-year-old child walking around in protest with his shirt untucked. But, as I went back and watched it in later years, I was like, oh, man. I was like, I could even go so far to say is like, that could be... I mean, I really, really like Singular Point, but like, that could possibly be the best animated Godzilla take.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I totally agree with that, too.
Catch you guys later.
I mean, it gives everybody what they've been wanting from the Monsterverse long before the Monsterverse was even a thing. They want to see Godzilla fight stuff, and that's practically Monster of the Week right there. Like, its whole, genetic makeup is, what monster's going to show up today? And, Junior was more like classic Godzilla, spitting atomic breath and all this other stuff. And we even got a Mecha Godzilla in the series, too. Even though I think it was technically Cyborg Godzilla, right?
Cyber
Godzilla, yeah.
So, and, it's not like Kiryu, bones of a dead Godzilla. He's a giant robot. Toho, you hate it that much, right? Anyway, it does everything people want, and to this day, I remember seeing way back in the good old days of early years Facebook, first Godzilla groups popping up saying, yeah, the series is okay. I think we can get over this series. Not the movie though. We need to blindly hate the movie, but the series is just all right. It's just a shame that we didn't get those Trendmasters figures. But yeah.
Careful, you could open some wounds there. Careful. Cass, have you watched any more of the animated series?
None. I've only watched like the Cyber Godzilla ones you recommended, and yeah, if you guys like it, cool. I just haven't seen enough. I've only seen like 2 or 3 episodes.
You and I should do an episode on the episode where Godzilla gets a girlfriend. That's quite the episode.
The Komodo dragon monster.
Yeah. Let's not say too much. I want to keep it fresh for Cass. I think him and I should do that in the future, just on that episode. And Nikki, your thoughts on the animated series?
I mean, I remember waking up early in the morning to watch that on Fox Kids religiously. I mean, before that, I think all I had was the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla cartoon, which, let's be honest, is not compared to this or any other Godzilla incarnations. But rewatching it as I'm older, it's definitely really good. Like, it takes the movie and builds off of it really nicely. And they slowly build up to what hopefully the MonsterVerse can really achieve with that big all-out global monster brawl. I mean, and the characters, it's a Saturday morning cartoon, but I think they're pretty good for what it is. But it's just fun to go along with the journey. Like, yes, all right, we got another monster. Let's go, Junior. It's just so good. It's like, give me a bowl of cereal with the most sugar and let me just watch the episode and just relive that nostalgia.
Hell yes.
I think if this released tomorrow, just completely as it is, I think the way the response would be now would be like, oh, this is the best Godzilla thing to come out in 20, 30 years.
Yep.
Probably. I think this just does it so simply, and so it's the monster of the week type stuff, but it's you get branching story arcs, you got,
good humor.
Godzilla 98's corpse, slapped in a robot body. It's so simple.
Sick.
It's perfect. Yeah, it's awesome. It's so fun. It's
Junior's basically a big puppy, cute.
I put it in our chat earlier today, the gif from the first episode where he's just scratching at the door trying to find Totopoulos and stuff like that. Then he just curls up and sleeps outside. Would be, I think it would be the most universally liked media if it came out tomorrow. I think.
I agree, 100%.
It's
such a good show all around.
Let's binge it. That's it. Next episode, we're going to talk about all 40.
I'm down.
So
Stop.
I have exhausted my 98 topics, but I want to give an opportunity for everyone to kind of say, highlight whatever it is that I may have missed, and let's give a star ranking from 1 to 5 as we do it. And Kes and I will see if our rankings remain the same. Spoiler, in our first episode, we both gave it 1 star. So, we will...
I'm trying to think if there's anything that I would like to bring up about the movie. I watched it 20 minutes before we started recording this. But I think we got everything. I mean, I like it. I can't say more than that. I like it a lot. Super great, super fun. If it came out today, like Mothra Mystic said, it would be a lot more widely accepted as a Godzilla. And if you think that Godzilla 1998 is not Godzilla, I'll see you on the playground tomorrow because I will defend him 100%. But I like it. I'm giving it a 4 star. I don't think it's perfect. I don't think it's infallible. Wow. But I like it. It's comforting.
Same. I want to give it a 4 star too. Yeah, there are some things that could be good, but I like it for what it is. It's a good popcorn movie, and the Godzilla, I think it's a fair adaptation to the monster. There is a topic I do want to bring up, because Slick did bring it up, where his favorite quote is. I'm wondering, what's everyone's memorable quote from this movie? What's the one that you always remember? Because I feel like mine has nothing to do with Godzilla at all, but it stuck with me to for years.
Bailey, I need you on your best behavior for this segment.
I can't say what's the most memorable one for me.
Thank you.
I'm
I'll
gonna
say mine.
behave and not say it.
I have a good favorite line from this movie. Elvis Presley movies. He was the king.
Oh, yes.
Oh my god. Yes, we didn't even talk about Jean Renault,
I
French
know.
national
The
treasure.
best
He was
character.
amazing.
So quick aside about that quote is that like I'm actually like low key like a really huge Elvis guy, and the fact that all the legendary movies have like an Elvis song in them, like it didn't hit me until I was rewatching this the other day. That like I forgot about the Elvis reference, and I was like, every American Godzilla movie has a reference to Elvis in it. It's kind of fucking awesome.
Oh my god.
It's because Godzilla and Elvis are both the king.
Right.
Hey.
Hey, I like it. Rob, hit us with your quote.
My favorite quote, I don't want to be basic, but the dazed and confused look on Matthew Broderick's face when he holds up that test and says he's pregnant. That'll always, always get a giggle out of me. I don't know what it is. It's just, it's between the friend group that I have, whenever that movie gets brought up or whenever we're watching that movie, I always crack up like I'm on drugs when that happens because it just awakens something in me because his face is so goofy. Just he's pregnant, and I'm out for like a good 5 minutes, like just laughing. So he's pregnant will always be like the pinnacle for that movie for me. Pinnacle of comedy.
I got some lines that aren't the ones that I'm thinking of.
Okay.
I really like, it gets me every time, when they're in Madison Square Garden at the end, and they're running from all the baby Godzillas, and Animal and Audrey run into the Knicks locker room, and they slam there, and he goes, whoa! And she's like, why? She goes, this is where the Knicks, like, shower. Like, I don't know why, but every time that makes me laugh. And the mayor... I don't remember the actor's name, but I know he passed away recently. But I always liked like his voice in like cartoons and stuff. But when he's eating the Hershey Kisses because he's stressing out because they have to evacuate New York City, and his helper's like, "I thought we agreed no sweets until after the election." He's like, "I can have my chocolates."
Lay off, Gene.
Yeah, lay off, Gene. Let me have my sweets. Like, okay. Or of course. That's a lot of fish.
A lot of fish.
Everyone's favorite.
Oh, yeah. I was waiting for that. I was waiting for it.
A lot of fish.
Well, mine comes way out of left field. It's from Lucy. I kind of love her. She's definitely that ballsy one from the Bronx, like Marissa Tomei from My Cousin Vinny, and I love that. But out of all the quotes in the movie, the one that stuck with me the most since I was a kid, and maybe it's because I'm too nice, it's her, Audrey, you're too damn nice. That's your problem. Nice gets you nothing in this town. It's dog eat dog. You gotta be a killer to get ahead. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, baby, but you just don't got what it takes.
Very supportive friend she was to her husband and to Audrey.
Yeah.
Like,
Also, holy shit, you have been practicing that accent. Holy shit.
I appreciate it wasn't that good. I apologize to any New Yorker or Bronx people.
that would be me.
Well, you know, as one with a thick Massachusetts accent, that sounded very New York to me, so it fooled me. Yeah, I was trying to think if I had like another quote. It is kind of quotable, that movie. I mean, I was thinking about Matthew Broderick just doing Singing in the Rain at the beginning of the movie, but yeah.
You're the worm guy.
Everyone getting his name wrong throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that hard.
Tacaticulus.
Yeah, but you know, you gotta have running gags. The coffee's gonna be bad to Jean Reno, and no one can get his name right. So
You call this French roast? I call this America.
You say you want fresh roast? I have. It's got a can of French roast.
Or all of the French like soldiers that he has under his belt are like all named like Jean something.
Oh,
I don't know if that's a
there's,
French
like-
movie. I don't know if they're all like Jean something. Every single one of them.
I feel like that was like the equivalent of like having like a group named like, I don't know, Joe, John, Chris, Andy, Paul.
Yeah.
You know, like just like, oh, let's put the most generic names we can to fit this nationality because like we're not gonna like really try too hard on that. But Rob, what was your updated or not updated? What was your star rating on this one?
Well, as of a couple of months ago, it was half a star, a singular half a star.
Ooh,
I wasn't exactly in the best of moods or very sober, but after watching it last night, I would definitely not give it a singular half a star, and I would absolutely put it above some of the Heisei era films.
Yeah, let's go. Common Rob W.
Definitely. But that's not saying much
Rob
because
just
I
said
don't
it's
like the
better than
Heisei era that
Biollante.
much. But I would put it at a healthy, like, 2.5, nearly a 3. If I had to go by letterbox standards.
Okay.
I mean...
It's a 2, but it's like a good 2.
It's a high-end 2 out of 5. A high-end 2. I wouldn't go much further out of that, but yeah, I'd put it over.
Okay.
Put it over a bunch.
Okay.
Yeah. Just in terms of.
Kes, you were at 1 before. Where are you at now?
I am at a 1, but I will say it's like a good one.
It's a very.
You know what I
There
mean?
we go. Okay. That's basically a 3.
In fact, I've had about 4 or 5 watermelon claws. You know what? I'm feeling generous. It's a 2 now. I'm bringing it all the way up to 2.
There
It does
you go.
not share a rating with the second Godzilla Netflix anime movie. No. It is above that.
Mm.
It shares a rating with the first anime.
It is for me, it is still below the second anime trilogy movie, which I gave 4 stars to. But I am going to go up from a 1 to a 2.
Club.
I enjoyed the movie a little bit more, but I will end it with this. My new favorite memory of this movie is doing this podcast with all of y'all. So because I'm going to have that fond memory now. It's going from a 1 to a 2. There you go. Oh,
That's a cop out.
I love you guys.
man, you can fuck off. But
Don't try to fuck on
Jeez.
my feelings, man.
well. Anything else
I
before
got
we
it.
move on to shit that we bought over the last couple of weeks?
Can we talk about how the soundtrack went like platinum and gold in multiple countries?
Yeah, because it's killer. It's so good.
It's got
The whole
Jamiroquai.
movie.
We can be heroes.
Listen, I like
It's
that
the
cover.
only version of Kashmir I listen to.
Come fly with me.
Actually, probably me too. I don't actually really like Led Zeppelin that much.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
Me neither.
You know, when I was little, I thought that was the only version of the song. I didn't know it was a Led Zeppelin song until much later in my life. I always just thought it was made for the Godzilla movie.
That's what Puff Daddy did. Puff Daddy took famous songs and then rapped over them in the late 90s. It was the thing to do.
Can we like?
Melee, every time you reference something about being like young, I'm just always going to think of you saying, "I wasn't even liquid yet."
I wasn't. What do you want me to say?
Like realistically though, like the Wallflowers, Puff Daddy and Jimmy Page, Jamiroquai, Rage Against the Machine, Michael Penn, Foo Fighters. There's a Godzilla remix of Green Day's Brain Stew song on here. It's like this goes relatively hard. It absolutely
Rage
does.
Against the Machine also like openly shit on the movie on that soundtrack song too.
Yeah, they did.
They did like No Shelter.
Yeah, they did.
And it's like right in the middle of it, they go like, Godzilla, pure fucking filler. And I was like, oh man. I still like Rage a lot. Rage is still like an awesome band, but I remember hearing that going like they were one of my favorite bands back then. And I remember hearing that, I was like, oh, Rage, why?
I mean, that bar is hard as fuck.
Yeah, Rage is still such an incredible band.
Oh, absolutely.
And I would argue much more relevant in 2023.
Oh,
Again. But, that's not what this podcast is. But slip that one in. I slipped that one in.
It went platinum in Japan, just saying.
See, they know what's good.
It went platinum in Japan and the US.
I mean, I remember watching like the music video for like the Puff Daddy song like on MTV, and the only reason I caught it was because the music video right before it was Aaliyah's "Are You That Somebody," and I used to watch MTV to learn choreography, and I was learning the choreography to that watching it. And then after that, Puff Daddy came out. I was like, "Oh my god, Godzilla's in a music video!"
Don't mind me, I'm downloading the album right now.
That's right.
On Napster? On Napster, just to make it really 1998?
I don't even know what that is.
Oh my god! No.
Napster is how everyone stole music in the late 90s.
That was in the Facebook movie. That's the extent of my Napster. So it was in the Facebook movie.
Slick and everyone else. You got any figs?
Yes.
Yep, but I'm letting everyone else go first.
Rob goes first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the figure YouTuber guy's gotta go first.
Yeah. So I don't have anything too new in terms of figures, but I did pick up the 8-inch movie monster series Monster X because the new one's coming out on Friday. So had to snag.
Oh, sick!
Had to snag this guy. Video on Friday. Check it out. And this one I'm not doing a video on, but I wanted to show it because I love it. I got the Godzilla GMK soundtrack on vinyl from Mondo and Death Waltz, and it's a color swirl with a Godzilla image imprinted on one of them. And I love it. It sounds amazing on vinyl. Hearing a soundtrack like this on vinyl is truly a whole other friggin' experience. And just to show you the inside, because the inside is truly magnificent. Just look at that.
That's so cool.
Mondo and Death Waltz,
yeah.
They did an amazing job on these, and I hope Mondo will be able to continue doing this fantastical work. And that's pretty much it for me. You caught me the day before my Rodan and other things are showing up, so I'm a little dry.
Oh no, the plug doesn't have anything.
You have to do a penance purchase.
Darn slipper thing.
There you go. You got it.
I put it on
Bailey,
backwards.
what you got?
I don't have a super recent purchase, but the most recent things that I have purchased are from the Hasbro. I've shown you and I've shown Rob from the Hasbro line of animated Spider-Man figures from the 90s. So this is topical because it's a 90s Godzilla movie, 90s Spider-Man figure. So I'll show you guys on the screen, but I have the Venom
there you go.
with the red and blue highlights from the animated series with the eyes done up, and it's like a wholly new sculpt. I have the animated series Spider-Man with cell shading on it, and the spider is from the show, and the webbing pattern is from the show as well. I got the Carnage from the animated series with he's got all these tendrils that you can remove, and it came with a bunch of different claw hands and weapon hands. So I have him with a big axe and like huge finger claws. And you can't see it, and I'm not taking it out of the case, but it came with a symbiote suit Spider-Man with blue cell shading highlights, and that's my favorite. That's my second favorite.
Okay.
Venom is my favorite.
I love that cartoon as a kid.
But the symbiote that's blue is great, and it's even better because before I even got into the Hasbro stuff, I went out of my way to get the figure of Shocker from the 90s series. So now I can recreate the 90s series with symbiote Spider-Man as Shocker.
Shocker!
Get back here, Shocker!
I'll chase you to the ends of the earth!
I love that's back. I love that like as a kid.
Yes. That's the best part about social media. Yes.
Here's the shocker. I'm showing it to them on the Discord.
Oh man, everybody in the 90s was on the juice. Everybody was on the gas.
That's what made baseball so awesome.
Nikki, did you get anything recent in the recent past?
Well, I did go to a local kaiju art festival, art show that was held like 2 weeks ago in town. It was called Kaiju 3. It's their third one for the past 3 years. Check them out on Instagram. It's held by Persona Presents and Taco Boy Designs. See some pictures there. But I left with a cute little... It's the GMK poster, but the artist that did it... Oh, I wish they gave me their card. They didn't give me their card. But they drew the GMK poster with Pokemon. So it's Tyranitar as Godzilla. It's Caterpie and Butterfree as Mothra. It's the Ghidorah. I forget the three-headed dragon. Oh, Hydreigon, I think.
My secret weapon, Hydreigon.
Hydreigon, yes. Hydreigon. And then it's Nidoking, I think, as Baragon. I don't have it in front of me. I stuffed it away and I already forgot where I put it. And then I got a Chibi Mothra and a Chibi Godzilla figure. So that was it for me.
Not some 6 stickers in the recent past? That was a little setup there.
Well, there were six stickers, but just some Mothra ones, then some other cute little ones I liked.
Oh, I thought it was setting you up for the 80 stickers you bought like yesterday.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, I did forget about that too. I did buy some vintage Godzilla 1985. Like reflective, like you move them and they like do scenes from the 85 movie. They're really cool. There are like 3 sets of them. So those are fun. I guess they're really hard to come by. That's what Slick told me. So
I actually checked eBay for
jump on it.
I checked eBay for like completed auctions, and there weren't any under completed auctions. But I didn't look super hard, but I looked fast. Didn't see any. I think those are awesome. I love like that 80s like vintagey stuff, and I like how like it's like a mix of the Imperial Godzilla artwork with like Godzilla 85 or 84, whatever. That's
yeah.
I don't know. It's such like a weird time for Godzilla merchandise. Kes, you paid your penance.
I paid it. If you're new to the podcast, we made a rule that if you don't have any purchases for the past 2 weeks, you do a penance purchase. And what that entails is you go on eBay or Mercari or whatever, and you set a price and you do a buy it now for whatever the other person says. So if Slick doesn't have anything, I say, I don't know, Chibi Godzilla number 7. So you go to the 7th thing at the price point and the buy it now, and then you buy that. So what Slick selected for me was Destroya, and it was a like 1.5 inch sized Destroya figure, but it's actually pretty awesome. Like I forget what, like, my phone, I'm using it to record this remotely, so I can't bring it up, but I forget what collection this is from, but it's a highly detailed 1.5 inch Destroya figure, and it's pretty rad. It came out in 2002, I know that. But other than that, I'm pretty ignorant on what collection it is from. But now I have a Destroya figure. I didn't have any before this day, so now I have one.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is your first Destroya figure. So yeah. I was, helping you fill that void.
I had a chance at the Playmates, and I messaged you, and I was just like, "Hey, I'm at a store, and they got a Playmates Destroya. You want it?" So I just like gave it up willingly. I'm just like, "Yeah, it kind of looks like crap, so I don't want this thing."
I bet not a day goes by where you regret passing on that.
It is my manga.
So I have figures in the mail. Full disclosure, I'm going to be in Japan 3 days from now. I'm going to buy a bunch of shit in Japan probably. So I don't have a traditional figure purchase or any other purchase, but I think this counts. That right before we recorded, I have booked my first ever trip to G-Fest and so I'm going to go to G-Fest
Holy
in
moly.
July. So I had always kind of been back and forth on this. I think, I'm not going to get like too much into it, but I think there were some concerns that I think I had around G-Fest over the last couple years. But I think good enough steps have been taken to make me feel a little bit better about the decision to go. I did kind of hem and haw a little bit. But I think with kind of the change in direction and the change at the top, I was like, okay. I was like, I think I can revisit this. I told myself I was going to go to a convention this year, and so it's just the one that kind of lined up with the schedule. And so, I'm going to G-Fest for the first time. So that's exciting.
Absolutely.
Maybe you know someone who's got a summer just wide open who might just join you.
Yeah, maybe. we can talk turkey.
Yeah.
So booked it on a whim, and I'm looking forward to it. Maybe I will finally find that one elusive monogram Godzilla bag clip in the dealer's room that I've never been able to find and complete that collection, and then I can. that would make the trip worthwhile. So there you go. That's my purchase.
All right, I'll let it
Well,
slide
gang.
this time. Next time you try this move with me, I'm gonna make you buy something on eBay.
Listen, man, I'm gonna buy like 100. I'm gonna have like 100 things by the time we next record. When I come back. It's gonna be gross.
Your whole next
I will.
podcast is going to be looking through your luggage.
Oh my god, it's like I intentionally have not bought things because I was like, well, I'm gonna be in Japan in like a week, so I'm just gonna buy them for like 1/4 of the price that it would cost to import them. So,
True.
Jealous. Something you're looking for? Tell me offline. If you're looking for something. Not you, the listener. I mean, the people taking part in the podcast. You, the listeners. I can't really help you. You're on your own. But
Slick wants your addresses. No, I'm kidding.
well, gang, anything? Yeah. Everyone, just say their addresses right now out loud on the podcast and tell me what you're looking for. And we
316 Gimmick Street,
and I'll
son.
take care of that.
411 Fascination Street, New Jersey.
1, 2, 3 Double Cross Ranch.
I live in Madison Square Garden with my 200 kids.
Nice. The eggs have
The actual number of eggs
Yeah.
they made was like 250 or something like that, or it's like 256 or something like that. It's like the exact number. I forget
It's insane.
what it was, but anyway. Well, gang, this has been a real fun time. Thank you for joining us. I think we are all probably seeing Shin Kamen Rider later this week. I'm gonna guess. Yeah.
I think so.
So when I come back from Japan, that's going to be our next episode, is recapping Shin Kamen Rider. But are you all excited for that?
Yes.
Yeah, it's my first.
So I'm hyped.
I have
So
no
hyped.
expectations. I've never seen anything involving Kamen Rider except the one video of Starfish Hitler, so I'm pretty... That's where I am with Kamen Riders.
Nikki,
Yeah, no
you're
exposure
big
for me.
into Kamen Rider, right?
I'm a new fan.
Okay, yeah,
I
me
mean,
too.
I
Me
grew
too.
up with the Saban Mass Rider, which
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yikes.
yeah. And I do remember watching the Kamen Rider Dragon Knight on CW. So I have been diving into the original show, the original Mass Rider. It's streaming free on Pluto TV right now. So I've been watching that, getting prepared. I've really been liking it so far, though.
Have you watched?
So I'm excited to see what's going to be in the movie.
Have you watched any like the newer series? Like one of our mutual friends encouraged me to watch Kamen Rider 01. And I like at first I was like, oh, we'll see. I don't know if I'll really be into it. And then like I crushed through that whole series in like 4 days, and then I watched all the movies.
I have not seen anything recent, but after I finish Kamen Rider #1, I want to try and go chronologically, or maybe I'll jump around. I don't know. Depends on my mood.
Aren't there like 100 and something episodes of the first series?
I think so. It's close to 100, and then there's like 2 movies or 3 movies.
Well, good luck to you. We'll check back in a year and see how that's going. All right. Well, anything else, guys?
Vote for Godzilla 1998 and Godzilla Battle Line. Hashtag Zilla Sweep.
Well, thank you for joining us, Melee.
No.
Vote for Varan. Don't listen to Melee. Use your own platform for that shit.
No.
Rob. Rob, always a pleasure. We should get together and talk about Treadmaster's prototype sometime.
Yeah, I'm down, dude.
That's story for another time. Nicki, it was great to have you on your first of hopefully many appearances on this podcast. You are welcome here anytime. I hope you enjoyed.
Thank you. It was fun.
Cass, I ain't shaking your hand.
I seen you yesterday. Yep.
All right.
Thanks for listening
See
to
ya.
episode 100. To 100 more.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot of fish.